oh, there we go. I just got a message. And if you don't want to be recorded, if you just keep your video off, it won't record you. So my name is David Meshulam. A couple of years ago, I co-founded Speak for the Trees, and I now run the organization. And it's my pleasure to invite you all to this amazing event about trees and literature and environmental justice. The core of what we do is celebrate trees, and through, what drew me into trees actually, and I hear this again and again from people, is that great book by Richard Powers, The Overstory. And if you haven't read it yet, it's worth a read. I think that there are lots of other books. I've just started reading another one. I feel like trees are having their moment in the sun, and certainly with literature. And I think there's people are starting to hear the trees and amplify their voices in poetry, in literature, in art, in multimedia. So there's a movement afoot, and it's so wonderful to be part of the celebration this week for Arbor Day, ArborWeek. All week we have events. At Speak for the Trees, we focus on trees because we care about the health of our communities and our people. We care about their public health, their environmental health, their economic health, and of course their community health. And trees are a really important component of building healthy communities. So thank you for coming today. I'm going to turn it over to Ricardo, who has been an amazing intern for the past couple of months from Brandeis University. He's graduating soon, and as his capstone project, he has been running and coordinating ArborWeek for us at Speak for the Trees. So thank you all for coming, and I'm gonna have to leave early, but luckily it's recorded.
Okay, thank you, David. And yes, this is my last semester at Brandeis, and I was so happy to be part of this team, Speak for the Trees, and be part of getting together ArborWeek for everyone, and having everyone present today is just such an amazing thing to see how it all came together. And I think David presented what Speak for the Trees is doing, and what we've done so far is well enough. So I don't think I have to repeat what he said. But thank you all for being present here today to see our presentation on literature. And I think I can just hand it over back to Catherine to keep presenting what we've been working on.
Okay. Actually, Erika, did you want to read your poetry? I think it's a beautiful way to start this, because it's an introduction to the poetry and the beauty that is trees. And so did you want to read your poetry now? And then I'll go over some of the Boston Public Library resources to learn more.
Sure, absolutely. So thank you to Katie Devine and Speak for the Trees for giving me the opportunity tonight to share with you some of my favorite poems by some of my absolute favorite poets. I am myself a published poet working on my first book, but I am not actually going to share with you any of my poems tonight. I'm just going to highlight the works of others and hope that you fall in love with them the way that I have. And if you want more information on any of these poets, just drop a question in chat. I will be more than happy to point you in the right direction. So we're going to start with sort of a classic tree poem from a poet that I'm sure many of you have heard of, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who writes in the naturalist tradition, in an era where the poets paid a lot of attention to the world around them. This is called An April Day. When the warm sun that brings seed time and harvest has returned again, 'tis sweet to visit the still wood where springs the first flower of the plain. I love the season well, when forest glades are teeming with bright forms, nor dark and many folded clouds foretell the coming in of storms. From the earth's loosened mold, the sapling draws its sustenance and thrives. Though stricken to the heart with winter's cold, the drooping tree revives. A softly warbled song comes through the pleasant woods, and colored wings glance quick in the bright sun that moves along the forest openings. When the bright sunset fills the silver woods with light, the green slope throws its shadows in the hollows of the hills, and wide the upland glows. And when the eve is gone, in the blue lake of the sky, o'erreaching far, is hollowed out, and the moon dips her horn and twinkles many a star. Inverted in the tide stand the gray rocks, and trembling shadows throw, and the fair trees look over side by side and see themselves below. Sweet April, many a thought is wedded unto thee as hearts are wed, nor shall they fail till to its autumn brought life's golden fruit is shed. So that's sort of the classic naturalist take. Of course, trees are also often used as metaphors in poems to take on meanings of things that are hard to express otherwise. And one of my favorite metaphoric uses of trees comes from a poet by the name of Edna St. Vincent Millay. And this is called What Lips My Lips Have Kissed and Where and Why. She didn't actually title her poems, so her poems are often titled by their first lines. What lips my lips have kissed and where and why I have forgotten, and what arms have lain under my head till morning. But the rain is full of ghosts tonight that tap and sigh upon the glass and listen for reply. And in my heart there stirs a quiet pain for unremembered lads that not again will turn to me at midnight with a cry. Thus in the winter stands the lonely tree, nor knows what birds have vanished one by one, yet knows its boughs more silent than before. I cannot say what loves have come and gone. I only know that summer sang in me a little while, that sings in me no more. We're going to stay in the key of sad a little bit longer. Please bear with me. But trees are good companions for those moments. And there's a beautiful poem that I think speaks to that. Trees as a companion for grief, in a poem by a poet by the name of Ross Gay. It's called Burial. You're right. The fertilizer is good. It wasn't a gang of dullards that came up with chucking a fish in the planting hole, or some midwife got lucky with the placenta. Oh, I'll plant a tree here, and a sudden flush of quince and jam enough for months. Yes, the magic dust our bodies become cast spells on the roots about which a dumber man than me could tell you the chemical process. But it's just magic to me. Which is why a couple springs ago, when first putting my two bare root plum trees out back, I took a jar which had become my father's house, and lonely for him, and hoping to coax him back for my mother as much as me, poured some of him into the planting holes, and he dove in glad for the robust air, saddling a slight gust into my nose and mouth, chuckling as I coughed, but mostly he disappeared into the minor yawns of the earth into which I placed the trees, splaying wide their roots, casting gray dust, the gray dust of my old man evenly through the hole, replacing then the clods of dense Indiana soil until the roots and my father were buried, watering it all with one hand while holding the tree with the other, holding the tree with the other as a flag to the nation of simple joy, of which my father is now a naturalized citizen, waving the flag from his subterranean lair, the roots curled round him like shawls or jungle gyms, like hookahs or the arms of ancestors, before breaststroking into the xylem, riding the elevator up through the cambrium and into the leaves, where, when you put your ear close enough, you can hear him whisper, "Good morning." Where if you close your eyes and push your face, you can feel his stubbly jowls. And good Lord, this year he was giddy at the first real fruit and nestled into the 30 or 40 plums in the 2 trees, peering out from the sweet meat with his hands pressed against the purple skin like cathedral glass. And imagine his joy as the sun wizarded forth those abundant sugars, and I plodded barefoot and prayerful at the first ripe plums swell and blush, almost conjuring some surely ponderous verse to convey this bottomless grace, you know, oh father kind of stuff. Hundreds of hot air balloons filling the sky in my chest, replacing his intubated body, listing like a boat keel side up, replacing the steady stream of water from one eye, which his brother wiped before removing the tube, keeping his hand on the forehead until the last wind of his body wandered off, while my brother wailed like an animal, and my mother said, weeping, "It's okay, you can go, honey." At all of which my father guffawed by kicking from the first bite buckets of juice down my chin, staining one of my 2 button-down shirts, the salmon-colored silk one, and hollering, "There's more of that," almost dancing now in the plum, in the tree, the way he did as a person, bent over, biting his lip, chucking out one hip and then the other, his elbows cocked, his fists loosely made, eyes closed and mouth made trumpet, when he knew he could make you happy just by being a little silly and sweet. Even when we're not grieving, trees can be incredible companions. And pretty much nobody knows that better than Mary Oliver. She's an incredible poet. She also has many, many stories around the poetry world of ditching on poetry events to go be in the forest because she likes nature more than people, I think. But this is her poem, Black Oaks, about exactly such a choice. Okay, not one can write a symphony or a dictionary or even a letter to an old friend full of remembrance and comfort. Not one can manage a single sound, though the blue jays carp and whistle all day in the branches without the push for wind. But to tell the truth, after a while, I'm pale with longing for their thick bodies rucked with lichen. And you can't keep me from the woods, from the tonnage of their shoulders and their shining green hair. Today is a day like any other, 24 hours, a little sunshine, a little rain. Listen, says Ambition, nervously shifting her weight from one boot to another. Why don't you get going? For there I am, in the mossy shadows, under the trees. And to tell the truth, I don't want to let go of the wrists of idleness. I don't want to sell my life for money. I don't even want to come in out of the rain. Of course, trees, which can seem like such good companions to so many of us, are sometimes ill-treated by humans too. And the next poem I selected by Matthew Olsman tries to grapple with that a bit. This is called Letter to the Person Who Carved His Initials in the Oldest Living Longleaf Pine in North America. Tell me what it is like to live without curiosity, without awe, to sail on clear water, rolling your eyes at the kelp reefs swaying beneath you, ignoring the flicker of mermaids, scales in the mist, looking at the world and feeling only boredom. To stand on the precipice of some wild valley, the eagles circling, a herd of caribou blooming below, and to yawn with indifference. To discover something primordial and holy, to have the smell of the earth welcome you everywhere, to take it all in, and then to reach for your knife. Of course, you know, for everyone who's cruel to trees, there are also those of us that look to them as not only companions, but as elders that we could learn from and be inspired by. And I think the poet that probably captures that most memorably for me is the poet Ada Limon. And this is her poem, Instructions for Not Giving Up. More than the fuchsia funnels breaking out of the crabapple tree, more than the neighbor's almost obscene display of cherry limbs shoving their candy-colored blossoms to the slate sky of spring rains, it's the greening of the trees that really gets me. When all the shock of white and taffy, the world's baubles and trinkets, leave the pavement strewn with the confetti of aftermath, the leaves come, patient, plodding, a green skin growing over whatever winter did to us. A return to the strange idea of continuous living despite the mess of us, the hurt, the empty. Fine then, I'll take it, the tree seems to say. A new slick leaf unfurling like a fist to an open palm. I'll take it all. Trees not only hold companionship and sometimes instructions and wisdom, they also hold a lot of our history. And I'm going to read a quick poem about that. I'm coming to the end. I'm going to read a quick poem about that, as well as the ways that they perhaps hold our future. So in holding our history, I'm going to share with you a poem by Adrienne Rich called What Kind of Times Are These? There's a place between two stands of trees where the grass grows uphill and the old revolutionary road breaks off into shadows near a meeting house abandoned by the persecuted who disappeared into those shadows. I've walked there picking mushrooms at the edge of dread, but don't be fooled. This isn't a Russian poem. This is not somewhere else, but here, our country, moving closer to its own truth and dread in its own way, with its own ways of making people disappear. I won't tell you where the place is, the dark mesh of the woods meeting the unmarked strip of light, ghost-ridden crossroads, leaf mold paradise. I already know who wants to buy it, sell it, make it disappear. And I won't tell you where it is, so why do I tell you anything? Because you still listen. Because in times like these, to have you listen at all, it's necessary to talk about the trees. My very last poem, which is super short. Thank you again for listening. And if you have any questions about particular poets or anything that I read tonight, like I said, pop them in the chat. I'm happy to talk about them. We're going to finish with a poem, very short poem, by the poet June Jordan. And the thing you should know about this poem, like I said, trees holding our future is where I kind of wanted to end on this, set. The thing you should know about this poem is that it's written in all caps, so it's meant to be shouted. I will spare your ears and not quite shout, but imagine me yelling this to you from across the street, because that's sort of the spirit of the poem. The poem is called Calling on All Silent Minorities. Hey, come on, come out, wherever you are. We need to have this meeting at this tree. Ain't even been planted yet. That's it. I will turn the program back over to Katie Devine.
Thank you, Erika. Those were very, very beautiful poetry, and especially the last one, I think really spoke to, speaks to kind of the message of this program. Trees hold our future, and let's gather around this tree that hasn't planted yet. And so I think that was a wonderful ending to your poetry. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's really set a very nice tone for the rest of the presentation. And so what I'm going to be doing now, see how I am with time. I am going to be going over some of the resources from the Boston Public Library, so you can find more information, more poetry, more literature, that sort of thing having to do with trees, as well as nature equity, some of those resources as well, which is certainly a very important part of this program. And for that, I need to do a screen sharing, and Ricardo, can you, I think you need to make me a co-host. Oh, can you do that?
You should be good now.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go, this is a LibGuide that I put together specifically for this program. I think it will be helpful just in general. It's going to stay up there, so it'll be there until, I don't know, the Boston Public Library is there forever. So let's see, so I'm at share screen, and here we go. Can you see my screen?
No.
No? Okay. Let's try this again. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's see. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay. So this is available through the Boston Public Library. And I'll just start from the beginning. If you go to bpl.org, if you go to Books and More, and then go to Research Guides, which is kind of in the middle.
Oh, can you share that screen, I think?
Oh, is this one not coming up?
No.
Okay, let me try this again. It says that I'm screen sharing. Oh no, this happened before too. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So this is under Books and More, and let's see. Let's see, there's so many of them. I'll just do it this way. Okay, so it's exploring trees and equity in Boston through literature. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over to the side. Okay, so this is the first page talks about Speak for the Trees, because these people are very instrumental in having this guide put together, and their work is so very important. So I featured them front and center on the first page. And over here to the right, I listed their different projects. This explains a little bit more in detail what their projects are. Provides a tree equity map, which is really cool. And I'll just show this to you really quickly. Okay, so this shows, let's see. There's too many things in the way.
Yeah, Katie, I think it still goes to the old website. I'm not sure if that'll.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'll have to fix that link. But this also, it also provides the different events that are coming up, especially for ArborWeek. And so if you go to the LibGuide, it will list the events, and you can just click on the link and that will take you to their page and provide a little bit more information. So I'm going to go back up. As far as what we have here at the Boston Public Library, there's a page to reading recommendations, and I actually arranged this by type. I have a list of recommendations, books about trees that includes the science of trees, just trees in general, that sort of thing. Trees in New England. And so when you look at this list, if you click on the title, it will tell you where exactly in the library to find it and how to get a hold of it, as well as provide a little description. I'm going to use this one as an example. If you see a book that looks good, over here to the right, if you click on availability by location, this will tell you where it's located and whether or not there's a copy available. From this page, you can request the books. You can place a hold and just log in, and you can actually have it sent to you at your local library. Or you can place a hold. If it's checked out, then you can place a request, and they'll notify you when it's ready. Oops. There's also there's also book lists that have been put together by librarians from the Boston Public Library, as well as from other libraries. And so these are other book recommendations. So this will also list books that might be of interest to you. Just a little caveat here, some of these books might not be available at the Boston Public Library, but you can place an interlibrary loan request for those. And I'm just going to put here in the chat, if you do run across something that is not, that we don't have, you can just email us at ask@bpl.org. We can get these books and pretty much any book of it. You can get it through interlibrary loan services with your Boston Public Library card. And if you have questions about that, you can just email us at ask@bpl.org. And I'm just going to put this back down. And I'm going to go back up. We also have digitized collections. And so these ones you don't need to request through interlibrary loan. These are collections that have information about trees, about literature, trees in literature, trees in art, that sort of thing. The Digital Commonwealth, this is actually from institutions and libraries across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And so this includes documents, it includes prints, that sort of thing. And so just as an example, I'm going to say Boston trees. Okay, so this includes some images. You can click on an image, you might find the perfect thing if you want to use it in some kind of a document. the question is whether or not you can reuse it, but it's a really good source of primary source material for trees and images as well as documents. And so this is focusing mostly on Massachusetts. There's also some of these other ones for literature and poetry. There's a couple of other ones of these that I think will be very useful as well. Hathi Trust and Internet Archive. I won't go through those, but these are, very good sources of information. The Biodiversity Heritage Library. This is actually put out by the Smithsonian, and this also includes digitized resources. And so I'll just do an example with this one, just because I like it so much. And so this does some literature and poetry, and this does a lot of the scientific material as well. And so the first thing that comes up is growing urban forests, and this is an article. So this isn't just a picture. This is going into actual articles, that sort of thing too. And so it should include illustrations. So this is a really good resource. Biodiversity Heritage Library. It's an incredible resource. Let's see. There's also Smithsonian libraries. They have some digital collections. Encyclopedia of Life. This actually goes into more like the science, like the biology of trees and botany and that sort of thing. So if you're interested in the science, that's a really good one to go to. Library of Congress digital collections, that's a good one as well. And if you're interested in the conservation movement, they actually have posted their documents on this page as well. And so let's see. Identification and tree care guides, because Speak for the Trees, they have a project for tree inventory the different trees in Massachusetts or in the Boston area. They can tell you a little bit more about that. But I did put on some identification guides. So when you're looking at a tree, you can say, oh, that's I don't know, that's a northeastern magnolia tree or an eastern hemlock, that sort of thing. So these guides will tell you what kind of tree it is. And so I included some print guides that are available here at the BPL, as well as some ones that are available online. And for example, Trees in Massachusetts. These are good not only for identifying a particular tree, but just seeing what kind of trees might be around your neighborhood. And so you'll see a picture and you'll say, oh, I've seen a lot of those in my neighborhood. And so this might tell you a little bit more about what you're looking at and really appreciating the trees. I think the more you learn about these particular trees, the more you can internalize their importance and see their beauty and, understand them, which I think is so crucial. And not just the trees, but the whole forests. I think some of the poetry that Erika was saying was appreciating, these are so crucial to the now and to the future, that sort of thing. And so the more you learn, the more you'll be able to appreciate that. Let's see, there's also a couple of these other ones might be worth taking a look at. I put on tree care guides. And so if you get a tree or if you get a seedling, that sort of thing, this will tell you what to do, how to nurture the tree, have it grow up to be part of the urban canopy, Boston. And so I put in some gardening guides, that sort of thing, to tell you how to take care of your tree. More resources at the Boston Public Library. I included a link to the catalog, some subject headings, and a guide to using the catalog. We have materials scattered all over the Boston Public Library system. Some of it is in storage. Some of it is in library use only. although you can request it and have it, check it out. And I can show you how to do that. I'll do that towards the end. Some things here. Okay, so this is just an explanation for how to use the catalog. And let's see. I do want to point out some of these databases. If you're looking for like articles like how tree care, if you're looking for nature equity, environmental justice, that sort of thing, you can actually find quite a few full text articles in some of these databases. And there are, I don't want to spend too much time on these, searching these, but they do have tutorials, that sort of thing. So for articles, that sort of thing, there's also gardening and horticulture, environmental studies. So if you're studying the conservation movement, that sort of thing. This is kind of these are very catch-all. We do have some related research guides that are very similar to this one. We have one on climate change, community gardening, as well as the literature, finding poetry, literary criticism, which is going to talk a little bit more about other literary sources that involve trees, that sort of thing. Nature observation, so that one will tell you, like, you know, how to identify trees, that sort of thing. And race, social justice, and civil rights, that again is going to go into nature equity, that sort of thing. And let's see, we also have organizations in Boston that also have a similar mission in terms of advocating for trees and nature in the city of Boston and conservation, that sort of thing. So I've listed these under organizations and events in Boston. So there's a list of organizations. The title links right to their websites. I've included a list of places to look for events. So this, you can search these ones here, as well as the links to the organizations. They'll all have events as well. So that's, you know, that's another resource. I put on here citizen science, just to let you know the City of Boston Nature Challenge is coming up. And so this will tell a little bit more about what's going on with that. Basically, it's documenting urban biodiversity in the Boston area to let scientists know what we have here to assist with conservation efforts. There's some other citizen science projects here as well, and this tells a little bit more about them. Basically, citizen science is a practice of public participation in scientific research. So basically, any of these projects that you get involved with, your data goes directly to scientists who will use it to advance their knowledge and that sort of thing. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I know I went through this pretty quickly. Does anybody have any questions? You can put it in the chat if you'd like. Oh, I'd like to just do an introduction to the BPL catalog. So go up here. Okay, I'm actually going to go back to my page. Okay, if you see a book that looks good, if you go to availability, this will tell you where it's located. This one is on order, so what you can do is place a hold on it. And I'll just do this. And this is when you're seeing the books that look of interest, when you place a hold, what you can do is you can have it sent to whatever branch is closest to you. And just to let you know, the library is closed now, but you can have you can actually pick up the book through our BPL to go. Just to let you know, we don't know when the library is going to reopen for browsing and for study, that sort of thing. But you can actually have books sent to you and pick them up through our BPL to go service. So you can still get books from us. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can always email us at ask@bpl.org. If you see a book that's in library use only, or a book that the library doesn't have, I do want to show you the interlibrary loan services. And I'll include this a little bit more in the LibGuide as well. So if you see a book that the library doesn't have, or one that's in library use only, you can actually get it from another library in Massachusetts or the United States. And so if you go to borrowing from other libraries, you can place a request to it through Iliad, which is really good to know because this really broadens your horizons. It really opens up the world of books to you. And so that's, I think that definitely merited pointing out. Does anybody have any questions? I'll just leave the rest of the presentation to questions. Okay, so I'm going to put in my email address. All right, hold on 1 second. Sorry, I haven't done this very much. Oh no, this isn't working. Here we go. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Ricardo, do you have anything to add?
Well, nothing else to add to your wonderful presentation, but just wanted to open up it again for any questions that anyone has. And actually, before I let any let's go on, I do have this one short poll for you guys, just to see how well we're doing with the ArborWeek, and to see how if anyone else is planning on participating in anything else we have so far this week. So if you could just take a few seconds to just answer this poll, that'd be great. But again, thank you all for coming today and joining us for ArborWeek, and thank you again, Katie, for working so hard on the presentation, so hard on the LibGuide. I know we've been planning this for a month now, over a month now, and it's great to see how it all turned out. And I'm sure everyone here is very happy to see what the library has for learning about trees in the area. And Erika, thank you so much for all the wonderful poems you have presented to us today. It was very relaxing to me.
Yeah, yeah, it was beautiful.
Such a wonderful voice, beautiful
Yeah.
presented to us. And again, thank you all for coming today.
Yes, thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoy your Arbor Week. And it's really nice out there. The trees are beautiful, and thanks to Ricardo and Speak for the Trees, hopefully we'll have quite a few more trees in the future when they grow up.
May it be so.
Katie. I was really excited to see it. It seems really useful, and I'm so excited to explore it more.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. You too. Have a great evening and happy Arbor Week. And just let us know if you have any questions.
See more of you this week.
All right.
Bye. Thanks again, Katie.
Oh, sure, you're welcome. And good luck. I'll be in touch.
Thanks. I hope we can actually get more in contact with you for later other events this summer, this next fall. Well, yeah, it was really nice getting to know you, getting to work with you.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Olivia is actually, well, I don't know how you two worked that out, but I'm so glad that we got in touch with you by the end, because I loved your presentation, and I hope you're able to attend to a few of ours as well.
Yes,
Nice to have
definitely.
you present and see what else we've been working on.
Yeah, well, very good. Yeah, I'll definitely attend some of your events. I'm going through your website thinking, wow, that looks really nice. Meditation in the trees.
Well, yeah, well, that
Yeah.
was very successful. So I don't know, it might be a little late. We only have 10 participants being able to be present, but
Oh, yeah.
you know, a lot of people apparently love the possibility of having more of those during the summer. So I think they're planning on trying to do a little bit more for people, and hopefully with COVID and vaccinations coming out, we can extend the number of live, like in-person participants. So I think that'll be a great event for people to actually go out and meditate out in the trees and in the arboretum.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they're going to welcome the opportunity too.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to go outside and they want to see other human beings. Yeah, well, and congratulations, you're graduating?
Yeah, this is my last semester at Brandeis, so
Really?
yeah, it's very, I'm glad. It's been 4 years of just hard work.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, and I don't know, to Speak for the Trees, it's like, I think it was a good summary of all the stress I've had to endure from college, having to like work together to present, get everything together, actually reaching out to people and having it all come out really well at the end of the end of April during our week. That's a good,
wonderful.
good representation of my entire college career. Everything so far this year has been great, and this is my last semester, and I just wanted to continue going off well.
Yeah. Well, this is a really good experience. It's something definitely that you can put on your resume. You know, the all-important resume.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll let you go.